All right, now to look at all the political developments today, we are joined via Zoom by political analyst Professor Ivor Sarakinsky. A very good afternoon to you, Professor.
Afternoon, Unati, and afternoon to viewers as well.
Well, a very busy day from a political front, wouldn't you say, Prof? What are your views on the nomination, firstly, of the former Defence Minister, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, as the next Speaker of the National Assembly? I mean, we know that she was fired by President Ramaphosa as Minister of Defence, whereas in reality now, especially after developments of today, it looks like it was just a swapping of roles with that of Thandi Modise.
At one level, it does appear to be ANC musical chairs, in that you shift people around to keep the delicate balance of power inside the ANC in place. You don't want to rock the boat. So at that level, it might be revealing the power dynamics within the ANC, whereas someone with a checkered career in the executive as a minister since 2004, who gets shuffled out of cabinet by the president, gets promoted upwards as a form of punishment, allegedly, to become nominated for speaker. All of this is very peculiar.
Indeed. Now, looking at her political background specifically and the various cabinet positions that she's held against the kind of leadership that's required for the Speaker in the National Assembly, can she and will she excellently execute the job required of her in this new task ahead?
Well, it depends what one means by that. In terms of the Constitution, there are a whole range of issues. In terms of ANC politics, there are a separate bunch of issues. So in terms of the Constitution, I think that there's a problem here. And you've got someone who's been in the executive since 2004, has little experience in managing Parliament as a chief whip of the ANC for 1 year in 2000 to 2001. So 17 years in the executive, coming in as the leader of the legislature. So the culture, the behavior, the norms, the standards of cabinet behavior, executive behavior, secrecy, non-accountability may well trickle into Parliament. And I find that very problematic because Parliament is supposed to be open and transparent, and you expect people who have embraced the culture of Parliament to lead Parliament in holding the executive to account. And now we've got someone with vast experience in the executive leading Parliament in holding the executive to account. And I think that there's a possible conflict of interest here. I think that this undermines the principle of separation of powers embedded in our Constitution. So I think there's some very serious issues going forward in terms of this nomination. It doesn't mean she's going to win the vote, but we're talking speculatively in terms of the nomination that will be coming forward, I expect.
I want us to look at, the process that happens after this. But before that, you said something very interesting, undermining of the separation of power. What does that then mean for this decision, that the ANC has made? And also about, this reshuffle that the President Cyril Ramaphosa has made. I mean, some have lauded it and lauded him as being very strategic.
So at one level, and this came through very clearly in the Nkandla ruling from the Constitutional Court, Parliament holds the executive to account, and parliamentarians swear their allegiance to the Constitution, not to a political party. Here we've got an ANC loyalist under a cloud coming in to lead the legislature. And this raises very significant questions about the ability of Parliament now to perform its oversight functions over the executive. So I think that that's a concern in terms of separation of powers and the constitutional powers of performing oversight. So the fact that Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula is the ANC nominee raises a whole range of questions that hopefully will be answered in the parliamentary debates regarding her tenure. In terms of ANC politics, as I said at the beginning, it's ANC musical chairs.
Indeed. As we wrap up this final point around Minister or former Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, talk to us about the process that follows now. I understand that the opposition parties still have to vote on this nomination before the president makes the final call. Now, do you think she will have the support of the opposition?
Well, I can't speak for the opposition. I don't know what their caucuses will be deciding, and I don't know what their three-line whip decisions will be in terms of instructions to their members of parliament in terms of how to vote on this. But I would be surprised if the opposition parties, or many of the opposition parties, supported this, because of all the issues that have been raised in the media already, as well as some of the concerns. So they don't have to vote. They can not vote, and then it's up to the ANC with the majority to ensure that Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula becomes the speaker. And then you've got an ANC speaker, and that could impact on the credibility of the way Parliament's managed for the remainder of this parliamentary term up until 2024.
Now, Prof, I'd like your take onto this now. Another nomination that became a success is that of the Joburg Mayor, Jolidi Matongo. Now, some say Matongo has big shoes to fill following on from his predecessor. Some, like the former mayor of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, say the only thing the new mayor will offer is a continuation of corruption and broken service delivery. What's your views on this latest nomination?
Well, when it comes to these kinds of decisions, especially at local government level, leaders come and go, the problems remain the same. So we wait to see whether Mayor Matongo is up to the task of addressing the challenges that he has to deal with now as mayor. We've got the track record of the other people, some less impressive than others, maybe. And now he's got to carve his own identity as a mayor, especially in the build-up to the municipal elections forthcoming, where this process will be repeated. So he's got a short time to prove himself, and if he does prove himself, then it shows that he deserved the support that he got. But the electorate will decide this matter one way or the other when municipal elections are finally held.
Looking at the problems that are facing the city and all of those challenges, what can we expect from him, if any at all? I mean, also looking at the mayoral committee, do you think he'll make changes? You've mentioned that he's got a very, very short time to impress. Again,
it's difficult to what may well be going on in his strategic thought processes. My guess would be is that he'll rally the team around him, and he'll try and set out priorities so that he can show some quick wins as part of the campaigning for the local government elections. So I expect to see a lot of photo opportunities in terms of potholes being filled and other services being provided. And the time frame between now and the elections, whenever they are held, will be seen as electioneering opportunities based on some kind of track record of delivery. If I was his advisor, that's what I would advise him to do.
Prof, a final matter that I'd like us to look at this afternoon. Former President Jacob Zuma's corruption case has been set down for the 9th and the 10th of September, many saying a good day for him now that this postponement has been granted. Can we be surprised at all at this point by this postponement on the proceedings of this case?
Well, it all comes down to the whole medical issues around the request for the postponement. So is this another example of Stalingrad delaying tactics, or is there a genuine medical issue which is endangering former President Zuma's health? He's got one medical opinion, and it would be up to the NPA now to get another medical opinion, or even a panel of medical opinions, to evaluate, assess, and see whether there's medical justification for the delay. And if there isn't, then the trial goes ahead. If there is, well, then further delays and contingency measures in accordance with his medical condition. So at the moment, it's all speculative, and it rests on a credible diagnosis of former President Zuma's condition.
I mean, some say, that we are, a lot of people in society, in various communities, are being a little bit too harsh in that these could be genuine concerns from, the former president's side, given the fact that he is an elderly, given the fact that, he does have, as one SANDF medical boss stated, critical matters from a health perspective to look at. But on the other side, we've had the Zuma Foundation come on and say that these are just procedural, there's nothing, very sinister around the medical conditions. I mean, what are we to make of these? I mean, you mentioned that it could be, on the other hand, be seen as a delaying tactic, but also he's got 4 months, give or take, of his current incarceration to be eligible for parole, which he could wait out.
It's all up in the air. There's just so many we don't know, and that's why it would be advisable to convene a panel of medical specialists from a number of medical institutions to evaluate the diagnosis and perform another diagnosis or tests if there's any doubt about the existing diagnosis, so that when a decision is made, it's made on the basis of medical evidence, and in that way remove the doubt if there is doubt. And if there is a serious illness, well, then the former president needs to be treated accordingly in terms of that diagnosis. So it's one of those things where the sooner you've got a proper investigation with an outcome, the better. So a speedy resolution of the ambiguities on this one.
Fantastic. Thanks, Prof, for your time this afternoon. We really do appreciate it. Political analyst, Professor Ivor Sarakinsky there, just commenting basically on all the political developments that we have been seeing today.